Hi guys, welcome. By the title, you probably know that we're gonna talk a lot about sadness today. Not just sadness, but melancholia, frustration, all of these dark emotions that we all go through. And if you've come to this video to complain about my romanticization of sadness or something like that, then you should probably go, because that's exactly what we're gonna do here. But don't worry, because I have a little bit of an explanation for you. I will say that I live my sadness through art. I live my alienation, my melancholia. I live through all of those through art. That's what I seek when I'm enjoying a good piece of art, whether that's a painting, a movie, a book, a song. I will say that in art, I indulge in my sadness. It's sort of like the blanket I use when I need comfort. And it's also the mirror that I look in to find like-minded beings. I know that sounds very abstract, but if you really like art in whatever shape or form, you know that those things can keep you company. Through art, I bathe in sad. And you know why? Because I reserve joy, ecstasy, or even calmness to real life. In life, I indulge in completely the opposite. I indulge in laughter, in humor, in blooming beauty. And I really don't need those things in art so much. In art, I need to see the decay of beauty, actually. I need to feel an arrow going straight into the pit of my heart, which is the part of me that maybe I don't get to reach every day on my day-to-day life. You know, when I go to work, I'm not really thinking about the darkest part of my heart. I'm just thinking about everything else. And then in life, I use the rest of my body to feel every bit of enjoyment that there is. With friends, with partners, with love, with lovers, with family, with food, with feeling the freezing air on my face in the winter and hearing, I don't know, the leaves rustle in the wind and all of that. So now that that's clear, and I hope you don't think that I'm romanticizing anything like lightly, let's go through my top 3 saddest artworks where I find heartbreak and comfort equally. I have to admit that I try to be a little bit edgy with these, in the sense that I didn't just go for films, because I want to do a separate video about 3 sad films, and I didn't just look for the obvious choices. Like I didn't include, I don't know, The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath, which is, you know, it's a great book that many of us love, but I think it has been recommended enough. So I wanted to look for things that were a little bit more unusual, edgy. My first recommendation is going to be 448 Psychosis by Kane. Kane is one of the most important playwrights of our time, really, especially of the 90s and 2000s. Though we only have 5 plays by her, due to her death in 1999, she really created an identity in her work. Her works are known for being really raw, really violent, really cruel, but also deeply reflective, romantic even, and poetical. She often talks about war, about alienation, but also about redemption, about love, about despair, about salvation. And all of this was truly a reflection of her own mind. Kane suffered from depression, and actually the cause of her death was, I don't know how to say it like without YouTube banning me, was herself. And 448 Psychosis very obviously was her unalivement note, if I can put it like that. This is a play that she wrote only a few weeks, maybe even a few days before the end of her life. And the title, 448, is a reference to the hour she usually woke up during her nights of insomnia. And I know you might be wondering that it's a bit of a weird choice, but theater plays are actually very enjoyable to read. You might think that it's a bit boring or it's going to be full of instruction notes, but actually not really. Kane was a writer, she was not a director. And she said in one of her interviews that she really didn't care for the production of her play, in the sense that it was the director's responsibility to bring what she wrote to life, which leaves us with a lot of abstraction, like for example a flock, I don't know if that's the right word, of rats coming into the stage, or war breaking out in a room. And also as a reader, all that abstraction, all that lyricism, all that poetry makes you feel like you're reading something in between a poem and a short novel. Now, I know that 448 is obviously a reflection of her mental health struggles. It's written almost with a certainty that she was not going to be on this earth for long. But I think that among all that tragedy and all that pain, the reason why I'm recommending it is because there are moments that are there are common human moments. Like for example, the thoughts all of us ruminate on when we go through anxiety or heartbreak or doubt or rejection. the patterns in which she writes, the repetitions, you know, that moment when you're about to go to bed and you can't sleep thinking about something. And it doesn't need to be something as tragic as her story. We all struggle with different things. We all suffer for different things. As long as you're going through it, it's valid, right? And that's exactly what I feel when I read her. Of course, I see a tortured mind, but it also makes me realize that when I feel like I feel too much, I'm not the only one feeling like that, you know, that sometimes I feel like I care a lot about certain things, maybe too much even, but that other women do too. And that maybe I'm not too much, I simply am. Guys, before I continue, if you're enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and leave a comment later if you feel like it. This play leads us to number 2, Alice Birch, Revolt, she said. Revolt. Alice Birch, another legendary playwright. This time, she's alive. Yay! And even if you don't know her name, she probably has written or taken part in some of your favorite TV shows like Succession, Love, or Normal People, Love. In 2014, she premiered Revolt, she said, Revolt in London, a 13-scene play, feminist play, touching on matters such as pornography, maternity, sex, or the capitalization of the feminist movement. All this to come to the conclusion in the last scene that maybe the only answer to this is to overthrow the system we live in and to eradicate men. Like I was saying in the beginning, this video is not going to be literally about sadness. Actually, this play is rage. This play is anger, and it's also frustration. It not just criticizes the system we live in, but also the consequences of this system in our daily lives in mundane situations. The reason why I'm recommending it to you and the reason why I read it every now and then is because in a sort of, again, twisted way, it brings me comfort. The more you learn about feminist ideologies, the different schools of thought and the different things they respond to, you realize how deeply rooted patriarchy is in our system. And then you go on to live situations that clearly have a sexist undertone at your job or with your situationship, and you realize that it's not just theory. These are not just books that people wrote in university or something like that. This is life. And again, that can be very freaking frustrating. And this book is very straight to the point. It talks very clearly about all of this and is very, I guess, has a very revolutionary feeling to it. It makes me feel like it is a shared phenomenon and that there are women that think like me. And that might seem obvious when you're online or something like that, because you get so many inputs from different places. Everyone's online, everyone can find their community. But in real life, it's not always so easy. Also, it's really angry and really good at the same time. And that makes me feel like it validates my anger a little bit. And indulging in that anger, again, for a little bit, is very freeing. Let's admit that. To read a really angry book and be angry about the same things that that book is describing is like freaking therapy. It's amazing. It's a relief. And the book is right. So again, like with 448, it reads like a collection of short stories or poetry, or it depends on which scene you are. Some of them are slightly more abstract and some of them read like truly like a short novel or something like that. But anyways, guys, don't get mad at me. It's just fiction. Nobody's gonna get eradicated. Don't let the men hear about our plan. Shh. And now let's land to the third artwork of this list. This is gonna be a painting by a man. Hotel Room by Edward Hopper. Hopper. I don't know if you've seen this painting. This painting is actually in my city. Yes, and I am convinced this painting was the inspiration for the first scene of Prostagnation, you know, when Elizabeth is sitting on her bed naked and she's about to go to uni or something like that. They both have the same feeling, don't you think? I love Hopper. Don't let them catch me saying that I love a man. Even if he was a bit of a cunt. His paintings all revolve around urban alienation or solitude. It's a common experience to be surrounded by people in a city and yet forming no connection with any of them. And his paintings always depict people either on their own, in the privacy of their house, or maybe in a public space, but not really interacting with each other, kind of separate. This painting specifically shows a woman in her room holding a book in her hands. The reason why this painting is so important to me, it's because I know exactly the feeling that that woman is going through. Like when I look at this painting, I can imagine a whole story behind it. That's the magic of a painting, right? I can see how this woman came back to her hotel room late at night, how she got undressed and everything is like slightly messy, and she got a bit more comfortable in her underwear or undergown or whatever it is that she's wearing. I can feel how midway through she felt lost and restless and lonely, how she probably like grabbed a book or a notebook to find distraction and a little bit of comfort, but not even that is helping. And eventually the book just falls onto her lap with her hands barely gripping it and the letters of the pages deforming towards the corners. And she's just sort of staring no longer into the book, but somewhere slightly above it. She's looking at something there, but in her mind, she's elsewhere. And to be honest, I haven't been in many hotel rooms by myself, but I've had that feeling of coming home and not really knowing what to do with yourself, you know, in the first like half an hour or something like that. If it's winter and the streets are empty, then you sort of feel lonely and alone in this world because you don't see anyone and everyone's like trying to rush home because it's so cold. There's not even like people to look at or observe. And if it's summer and it's warm and the streets are full of people having beer on the terraces, which is a very Spanish view, and they're laughing, then you feel lonely too because it's like you're by yourself and you don't know how to really break that wall and interact with those people. And it usually goes away the moment that you find something that you enjoy or you come home to the warmth of your family, your flatmate, or with your partner. But there is sometimes that in between of a moment that it's a bit like, For me, it happens a lot, especially when I was living in London, in public transport. London Tube is one of the loneliest places in the world. I don't know how to explain it, but in my head it makes absolute sense. Those are my 3 recommendations for today. And now let's yap for a bit. Am I disillusioned? Am I truly disillusioned like the title of this video says? You know what? Not always. I tend to be like a positive person in the sense that I truly think that you go through life and sometimes it will break you and then you have to redo yourself and keep going, you know? But lately, I have to admit that I've been feeling quite disillusioned. Disillusion, right? Yeah. I don't know what it is. Let's yap. Can I yap with you? When I was a teenager, I got really obsessed with hackers because I liked the figure of a hacker more than anything else because I don't know much about computers, but I care a lot about them. I care a lot about the internet because we all use it. We are all users of the internet. Even if you think you are not, you are. It belongs to all of us, or it used to belong to, or it was designed to belong to all of us. It's common ground, and yet it isn't like that anymore. I get distracted. I was watching a documentary from 2013 called Aaron Swartz, the internet's own boy. This guy was kind of like hunted down by the US government. There's a lot of factors coming in. Anyways, they pressured him so much and they did such a fear campaign that this guy ended up giving his life up on 2013 because of all the pressure from all these stupid people. What struck me with this documentary and what made me disillusioned is that 13 years ago, this was 13 years ago, okay? There was still hope of having an open internet. An internet that was fairly public, not just privatized by some of the big tech companies, and becoming owners of the cultural capital of the world. You could see that it was starting to happen, but it was not yet done. And I feel like in 13 years, we haven't not just stopped it, but we have gone to the complete opposite. Big tech companies are some of the most powerful companies in the world, and there's no way to stop them. It's already too late. They have more resources than many other companies. They have their hands in so many different fields that it's even impossible to understand how far they go. You think that Google is just a search engine? That they just sell you phones and let you Google shit? You think that Microsoft just makes you a computer? You think that Apple just sells you a stupid phone? Well, maybe Apple just sells you a stupid phone. You think that Amazon just delivers your stupid packages home? No, that's the tip of the iceberg. And all these companies are run by absolute sociopaths. And that worries me. It makes me so scared. And I don't see a solution. I think it's already too late. It's like when people talk, or like politicians talk about global warming, and then scientists come out and they're like, it's already too late, guys. We told you to do something 30 years ago, and now you're trying to do this. And you know, it's not gonna hurt, but it's also not gonna solve anything. But you get my disillusionment. It worries me, honestly. I think the evolution of this world, the technological and therefore pretty much all-encompassing evolution of this world, it's in the hands of the wrong people. Everything is going to be part of a company. Everything is going to be sponsored. Everything is going to be owned by someone. Doesn't that make you disillusioned, girlies? Doesn't that make you upset? Doesn't that make you want to revolt? She said revolt again. I sigh and I smile and I do my silly little makeup and my silly little videos and I keep on living and I don't know what to do. So yes, girly pops. That's all from me. I hope you enjoy my recommendations now a little bit more seriously. I know they're a bit unusual. I know that I'm trying to be edgy or whatever. And maybe they're even hard to access in the sense that, well, a painting, I guess you can only see it online unless you live in Madrid, because it's in Madrid, this painting. But still, I wanted to, you know, bring something a little bit more unusual to the table because, I don't know, maybe I should start recommending things that are a bit more popular. I'm not trying to be performatively edgy. These are things that I honestly love and I honestly enjoy, and I hope that you enjoy them too. I will see you in my next video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for being here. Bye bye.